Hi Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your March 2021 full moon reading for you. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also to subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload new videos, and I upload all the time, just hit the bell notification button. And if you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading and clear the energy space, once again, a reminder not to be scammed by anybody in the comment box pretending to be me, offering you a reading. This person is not me. They are a scammer. Do not be scammed. I will not be soliciting you for anything. With that said, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds. Letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. All right. Let's let the bowls sing as we see what the tarot has to say. How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, angels and spirit guides. Show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, angels and spirit guides. Show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Fantastic. All right, and let's look at your chakra energy for this time. How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Wonderful. And now the spirit guided message. How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels. Ooh. So we have 3. Okay. Yeah, okay. Intense, but beautiful. All right. The left-hand side is the inner self. The middle is the heart, the emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. And we're going to see how all of this correlates to not only the moon, the new moon, and the moon on the 27th of April, but also to the spirit animals and the chakra message and the spirit message. Okay, so let's just dive in. And of course, the left-hand side is the inner self. The middle is the heart, the emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So we start off with the Page of Cups. We are a student right now of our emotions. The King of Wands comes through, and of course this represents us Sagittarius. In the minor arcana, we're represented by the Wands. In the major arcana, we're represented by Temperance. So the King coming through is absolutely beautiful. We're coming out as kings. This also very much connects us with the new moon on the 12th of April in Aries. But this is also a sense of that Aries sun energy really coming forward because the sun is in Aries. We have the Seven of Pentacles and we have the Four of Wands. We then have the Six of Wands crowning us in our heart, which is beautiful. The Eight of Wands, the Three of Swords. Interesting. And the Magician. Oh, I like that. We have the Eight of Cups. We have the Seven of Swords. We have the Six of Cups. And we have the Ten of Pentacles. It's very interesting because the public arena is like a lot from the past is coming up to try and hold us back and say, well, you can't do this. And there's going to be a real part of us during this time. It's like, well, yes, I can. Like, don't you dare tell me what to do. So feistiness is definitely going to be a part of this time, Sagittarius, which is really, really nice. Okay, so there is a sense here of having a bit of a battle, though. So do be mindful of that, okay? And it also plays into the energy that we have going on here. So what we have is the polarization energy of the sun in Aries and the moon in Libra. These are opposite energies. So the sun in Aries wants us to kind of look at ourselves, think about ourselves, say, what do I need? What do I want? Let's go get it. And the moon in Libra is like, let me think of everybody else. Let me put everybody else first. And what's going to be very interesting about this time is, of course, the moon always tells us to surrender to the divine. And that is how we're going to embrace our power. But during this time, during this time of the moon, Venus, the sun, and Chiron are all going to be in alignment with each other. So they're all going to be powered by Aries. And Chiron is called the wounded warrior. And so the wounded warrior is going to be bringing up the wounds from the past. And this is going to be really seen in the public arena of like trying to trip us up. But the interesting thing is that Venus, which is the ruler of Libra, okay, but it's also very intensely powered right now by Aries, is going to have this kind of twofold way of dealing with things during this time. So we're going to want to nurture. We're going to kind of nurture those wounds. But there's going to be this real kind of like boot in the tush that says, all right, it happened. Let's keep on moving forward. And that's going to be really what powers us and what utilizes us to embrace this win-win outcome being forecast, this balancing of what we desire and what we need and where we want to be. Now, Mercury and Neptune are in Pisces. And this is telling us to get out of our own heads and to focus on forgiving, but also forgiving ancestral hurts, past life hurts, things that cannot be changed, and things that, you know, in the long run, if we look at it, we realize that it really has kind of forged a really intense and powerful way of us being within our lives, of us embracing who we are and what we want and what we desire. So we're looking at the hurts that we've inherited through our DNA line, the hurts that we've inherited through our caregivers, through the people that raised us. But we're also looking at the hurts through past lives. And there's going to be this real sense of breaking chains, of breaking old patterns, old hurts, old disappointments. And it's like, no, I don't get to be defined this way anymore. There gets to be greatness to me. The moon then makes a perfect triangle with Saturn and Mars. And this is called the Great Trine. And what is so cool about this is this brings added protection, harmony, and ease into our lives, which, I mean, who doesn't want that? But it also makes us a bit braver because Mars and Saturn are very intense planets. And it makes us more determined, more motivated, and really gives us a staying power. Now, Sagittarius, you don't really need to add to the staying power that you have. But because it is, this is a time to get things done. This is a time to look at things that we want to be achieved, like that we've been kind of putting off. And this is going to be the time where a kind of fire is lit under us. And it's like, okay, well, now it's time. Now it's time to change the whole story. Now it's time to really embrace greatness. And what we have here is, again, Aries telling us to focus on the self and Libra telling us to focus on others. So we're going to start to see this needing to balance these two energies being what makes us have this win-win forecast, what makes us move forward so powerfully and so determinedly. Now, if we have Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn within our chart, because of the way the moon is aligned, these signs are going to be most affected by this moon. So these parts of our personality are going to come out with more intensity. Now, because Libra is ruled by Venus, this is going to also give us an alignment with resolving conflicts. So we're actually going to find ourselves kind of seeking out where we feel the most vulnerable and needing to resolve those conflicts, needing to embrace our power. We need to be careful of bringing that balance into our day-to-day lives because Libra brings balance into what isn't balanced. So in our day-to-day lives, we're going to start to look at things that aren't balanced, that are overwhelming, and we're going to start to say, okay, I need to fix this. So we're going to need to just be a bit careful of how we fix it, how we move forward, because we can kind of very much be, Spirit is just showing me kind of like a bull in a china shop, just kind of knocking things all down and saying, okay, we're just going to rebuild. We don't necessarily need to rebuild. We just need to find the harmony. And this is really raising our energy vibration, really raising our sense of self, of what is right, what isn't right, what we desire, what we don't desire. And it's amplified when we reach the 12th of April by the new moon in Aries. And so Aries plays a huge part during this time. So we have the new moon offering a new start is coming and bringing us to new beginnings. And what the new moon in Aries says is it's time to take action. It's time to go after what we want. It's time to take the bull by the horns and not to wreck everything, but to say, what do I need to do? What needs to be done to put things into harmony? Harmony is going to be so important to us during this time, and it's leading us to the full moon in Scorpio on the 27th of April. And the full moon in Scorpio says it's time to release negativity, because it is. It is time to release everything that we've seen that is off balance, everything that we've had to take action to that now doesn't fit anymore because we've redefined things, we've relearned things. And now it's time to release the negativity so that we can release the poison from our lives, so that we can rise even higher. Now, the spirit animals for this time are the wolf spirit for March, and I know we're only in March for a little bit, are the wolf spirit and the whale spirit. And the whale spirit says, trust in the great mysteries. And the wolf spirit says, turn knowledge into wisdom. So with the whale spirit, the whale spirit is symbolic of the record keeper of the earth. So when we're being told to trust in the great mysteries, we're also being told there's so much that we do not know. Be open. See where life takes us. You know, we might have very distinct views on things, but as we start to change, as we start to evolve, as we start to, claim our power more and more, we're going to start to see that, wow, I don't know as much as I thought I did. And so here we start to listen to our inner voice, and we start to connect with the emotional power of the earth, but also the emotional power of the vibrational energy of becoming, of seeing, of expressing, of embracing. And this leads us to the wolf spirit. It says, turn knowledge into wisdom. And the wolf spirit has us embracing a sharper intellect. The turning knowledge into wisdom is what growing older is all about. The knowledge that we accumulate, things that we learn, become the wisdom that we live by and become kind of like sacrosanct truth to us, very sacred, powerful things. We have a deep connection for a love of freedom during this time, to follow our instincts, and we need to connect with and claim our space within this world. So as we're connecting with our space, with what we desire, we need to connect with others, but also connect with our place, whether this place is what we desire to keep on accumulating in, or we say, this is not my endpoint, this is not where I want to be. And it moves us to the spirit animals of April, which play really nicely off of this time, which are, again, the wolf spirit and now the hawk spirit. So everything that the wolf spirit brings to the table is still brought in April. And now the hawk spirit is symbolic of the messenger of the world. And it says here, let spirit be your guide, because let the one who can fly higher and see clearer be your guide forward. Focus on your power, focus on your force, your clarity of vision, and this increases our spiritual awakening. It leads us to our chakra energy for this time, which is clarity. This is the third eye chakra. The third eye opens up. Our clarity comes forward. We start to see things more honestly, more truthfully. We also start to have things that were murky before, or things that we just didn't feel ready for, becoming more clear, us being empowered by them. And then this leads us to our spirit guide message for this time, which we have 3 of. So it's adventure, success, and wish. We're going to be seeking out adventure. This is going to lead us to the success of what we wish for. So the adventure is telling us to kind of step out of our comfort zones. The success is going to be surprising, because as we step out of our comfort zones, as we embrace a life that is a bit adventurous, we start to see success in a very different way. And it brings us to what we have wished for, what we have longed for, and what it is that we greatly desire. And we start to see things more clearly as we embrace our path, but also as we embrace the knowledge of our memories and of our desires for the present. Now, this leads us to us being in the inner self, a student of our emotions, a student of how we're feeling and where we want to be. We're going to find ourselves kind of checking in more and saying, what is it that I really desire from my life? And how is it that I want to move forward? And what is it that I love? And where is it that I want to be within my life? And what is it that I truly want? But also we're focusing on the people that we love. That Venus energy is just going to be so strong here. It starts to bring things into balance. It starts to bring us into balance. Not only people, but it's things that we love. It's making time for love. And we're going to see that beauty and surrounding ourselves with beauty becomes intrinsically and empoweringly important to us. This also leads us to a sense of finding inspiration in the most unlikely of places, from the most unlikely of spaces. And it really kind of opens us our eyes. And it's like, oh my gosh, I always thought that you had to move this way. And we're going to see that we don't, that there is an opening, a greater understanding, a powerful truth that starts to redefine our world, starts to redefine ourselves. And that becomes exquisite. It leads us then to the King of Wands, us ourselves as Sagittarians, becoming the king of what we desire, of not being afraid to roll up our sleeves, to embrace our passion, to say, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I need from life, this is what I want from life, this is how I'm moving forward. There's nothing and there's no one who's going to stop me. So there is this fire, there's this passion here that has us looking at things differently, that has us, really embracing this inner fire. It's like, I'm not going to be able to get fuel from outside sources. So we're not going to really be looking at other people to refuel us all the time. What we're going to be looking at is how we can keep on driving that creative energy to keep us, burning brightly, to keep us embraced within what we want, what we desire within life. So it kind of takes a focus to the self, but not in an egotistical way, in a way that says, I'm redefining what it is that I want. I'm embracing greater power, greater tenacity, greater insights, greater understanding than what I had thought of before. And I'm shining brightly and I'm shining powerfully. And it also lets this Aries energy that hits us like a bolt of lightning that really kind of rocket fuels us forward. It's utilizing this in such a instinctually powerful, brilliant way. And it moves us then to being able to stand a little bit taller, understand things more intensely, more intuitively, and we start to really look at ourselves and say, I hold a lot more answers and I hold a lot more spunk than I ever thought I did. So we start to, as Sagittarians, we start to embrace questioning. We start to embrace deeper senses of what we desire, what we want, what we need, what we're looking for, what we're longing for. And it brings us to the 7 of Pentacles. It brings us to divinity saying, be patient. Be patient because the realizations that are leading us forward are going to be unwrapped in divine timing, not in our timing, which can make us feel completely annoyed because we want things when we want things. And that's just a very human way of being. But we're going to see here with the passion, with this intensity, that if we push, we're not going to really get the same results. If we say, well, let me see how this becomes. Let me understand what I desire. Let me look at things more truthfully, more innately, kind of responsive to the passion that is about me. And let me see what divinity has planned for myself. I know what I want, but let me see, like, if I check in, if I, start to meditate, if I do, the Wim Hof, breathing exercises, which I have linked in the description box below. If I do this, what starts to open up to my mind, myself, my desires? If I push my discomfort, if I push my bravery, if I step out of my comfort zones, what is it that divinity offers to me? What are my rewards? And it brings us to the Four of Wands. It brings us to a place of celebration. The Four of Wands is kind of like a happily ever after card. It is very much like there is a sense of rejoicing, of dancing, of laughter, of love, of things coming together. This can start opening up new business opportunities for us. This can start to have us looking at the world and saying, well, where do I want to be within the world? How can I push down these barriers? How can I embrace, what I desire within my life? The Four of Wands starts to have us celebrating and want to continue celebrating what's important. This can also start to lead us towards love. This can be rekindling the romance between us and our partners. This can start, having us say, well, I want to find love within my life. I want to find joy within my life. I want life to have a bit more laughter and bliss to it. And the Four of Wands is just a sense of celebration, of things coming together, of doors being opened and security being found within the brilliance of the body, the mind, the self, the expression. And it leads us then to the Six of Wands. It leads us to being able to celebrate ourselves in a very, very powerful way. The Six of Wands is saying it's time to rejoice. It's time to embrace our blessings. It's time to look at our intrinsic truths. And it's time to say, I'm worth celebrating. Instead of saying, I'm sorry, instead of nervous laughing, instead of putting ourselves down, it's time to say, there's brilliance to me. There's power to me. There's joy to me that gets to be so much more than what I thought it was. And we start to celebrate our successes, even if we see more failures than successes. If we start to hold our heads up high, if we start to, walk with our shoulders back, really embracing this confident, powerful stance, it starts to increase the serotonin within our minds. We start to trick ourselves a bit. And when we start celebrating ourselves and saying, well, that was a job well done, and I can't believe, I pushed out of my comfort zone that much, and I can't believe I, was brave enough to ask that question, or brave enough to stand to my convictions, or I didn't let other people, sway me type of thing. We start to see our hearts swelling with pride for ourselves, not in an egotistical way, but in a way that says, I'm worth it, which brings us then to this powerful place of being. And it brings us to the Eight of Wands. Things start to change. Why? Because we're calling forward that change. Because we're moving forward with the sense of this moon, bringing things into balance, showing us and reflecting to us the power and the force of Aries, the power of being the warrior, of saying, this is what I want from my life. This is what I desire. This is what I'm embracing. This is what I'm going after. And it becomes a game changer. And things start to change. And we're kind of just along for the ride, which is scary, but also extraordinary at the exact same time. It leads us then to the Three of Swords, which is the fly in the ointment that comes in within our hearts. It's looking at, if you know the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, okay, this is a heart with three swords stabbed into it. It's having us look at the pain, at the disappointment, at the heartbreak, at the, doubts, fears, chaos that holds us back. It has us thinking that things can't be because we mucked up too much. Things can't be because we've been hurt too much. Things can't be because life has beaten us down. But here's the thing with pain, and here's the thing with fear. Once we are forged by it, and everybody is forged by fear in one way or another. Once we face it, once we look at it, once it breaks us, and we pull ourselves back together, because that's what the Three of Swords is all about. It's what has left a scar that we can't erase. But once we accept that scar. We escape its hold. So instead of looking at the scar as something hideous, we start looking at the scar as being a point and a moment in life that has been endowed upon our hearts, that has, made us into who we are, because it's been the hurdle we had to jump. It's been the hurt we've had to, accept, look at, understand. And the Three of Swords is us looking at these scars and facing them head on and saying, you don't get to rule my life anymore. I don't care if the scar, comes from our fathers, our mothers, our lovers, our siblings, our friends. These scars don't get to be what defines us anymore. A lot of them come when we're very young, and then we see them keep on being reopened as we live our lives, as we, attempt to be brave, attempt to go after what we desire, as we get shot down, as in life we all will get. We start to see these scars understood more and more. And this becomes a time where we become aware of our weaknesses. And we say, okay, well, I don't have the highest confidence, right? So that's something I have to work on. That's something I have to look at. I know that's true for myself. I don't always have the best confidence. And when I'm put into new situations, I can get very hard on myself and very afraid and think, oh my gosh, I'm going to mess up and what's going to happen. But if I say, that's life, everybody feels fear. Everybody looks at things differently. Everybody, has to look at that. I take myself out of the ego, which is all self-possessed, and I put myself into my emotions, into my knowledge, into my bravery, and things start to change. And that's what I'm seeing here in a very real and powerful way. Things start to change. And I share that personal story because it's important to see that we're not alone. It's important to understand that we all beat ourselves up, no matter how far we are in our spiritual journey, no matter what we're looking for. And it leads us then to being the magician. It leads us to standing before the altar of our existence in a very proud and a very powerful way and saying, this is what I want from life. What I think about, I become. Henry Ford said, whether I think I can or whether I think I can't, I'm right. Or whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. And that's important because what we believe becomes how we live. And our thoughts become our mantras for life. And so if we're standing before the altar of our existence, and the magician is all about as above, so below, as you think it, so it becomes. So as we stand before the altar of our existence and we're thinking, what the heck am I doing here? I don't get to have this power. I don't get to have this say. I don't know what it is that I want from life. I don't know what it is that I desire from my existence. We automatically shoot ourselves down. And we automatically let that fear that's creeping, that wants to come forward, be the rulers of our life again. Fear wants to rule us. It is a great way of embracing the ego. It is a great way of lowering our energy vibration. It's a great way of letting chaos come in and be a part of our lives forever and ever. Whereas if we stand before the altar of our existence and say, this is what I want from life, this is who I am. It might not be perfect right at this moment, and I might never view myself as perfect, but this is what I desire for my life. This is the passion that leads me forward. This is the truth that I have. This is the dream that I get to be empowered by. This is the hard work that I'm putting in. We start to see ourselves picking up the elements of the tarot. We start to see ourselves picking up our knowledge. Okay, we start to see ourselves picking up the strength of our breath, the strength of our voice. We start to see ourselves embracing the emotional truth that we have, our emotions, our creativity, our insight, our intuition. We start to see ourselves then planting new seeds, getting inspired, embracing prosperity, not seeing ourselves in a pauper's mentality, but seeing ourselves as people who get to have wealth and bounty and brilliance within our lives. And we get to see ourselves as passionate people, as people who are allowed to embrace our passions, our desires, our questions, our fire, our brilliance, and to let that shine bright. And the magician calls it forward in such a way that at the root of our heart is a shining blaze. It's kind of like a barn fire that's saying, this is what I want. This is who I am. Don't let that bonfire go out. It leads us then to the Eight of Cups. It leads us to walking away from what we once thought we would love. We once thought that we had things figured out. That's why Spirit is telling us with the Seven of Pentacles to be patient, to see things unfold in a way that we hadn't expected, that we hadn't anticipated, because the Eight of Cups shows us walking away in the public arena from where we thought we would be. This could be quite literally walking away from a relationship that's bad, from a job that is tearing us apart, that's like eating our souls alive. This can have us walking away from a mindset of lack and of poverty and of, I just can't, into a place of yes, I can, and this is what I desire, this is what I'm going after, this is what I wish for, this is the adventure I want within my life, I get to be a success. And so we start to see a change coming in, and it's a change that can take us by surprise. It's a change that can come wrapped in heartbreak and in pain and in disappointment, but become one of the best things that ever happened to us. And it has affected our public arena. It has affected the confidence that we have within our lives. It has affected the power that we have to stand forward in our truth. And it leads us then to the Seven of Swords. It leads us to gathering up our knowledge, gathering up our understanding, leaving some things behind because they're just not right for us anymore, and moving forward. The Seven of Swords is looking at things in a very personal way. So we start to see ourselves changing. And then we start to see ourselves becoming more private. So we don't need to tell everybody what we're doing. We don't need to share everything with everyone, which can feel like the exact opposite of our world, where everything is shared instantaneously and, everything changes every 5 seconds because of it. But here, it's like, no, I get to keep this to myself. And people might say, oh my gosh, Sagittarius, you're being secretive. And oh my gosh, I can't believe you're holding on to things this way, or you're not sharing everything with me. It's like, it's not your business. It's my business. And I get to move forward towards knowledge, towards understanding, towards, passion, towards brilliance, towards a sense of empowerment of self. And that comes from looking at things and also looking at the sneaky things that have happened within our lives, the sneaky people that have drained our energy, that have been the narcissistic, holds on our existence. And if you're here, if you're part of this community and this family, you're most likely an empathic person. Narcissists feed on empathic people because we're the ones who sit there and say, oh, well, how was I wrong here? And where were they coming from? And if you have a person who is extremely in tune with their emotions, dealing with a person who cannot feel anybody else's emotions but their own and cannot see the impact of other people, you have this abuse that comes. And it can just be from the world in general. We have a narcissistic world. It's all about the I. We have the iPhones. We have the everything is about the self. And so here we start to see ourselves changing. And it's like, what is it that, yes, is what I desire. But what is it that instead of is just about me, is about me growing in such a way that I take others up with me, that I become a springboard for greater success and greater insights and greater understandings and greater truths? And how do I express and share the knowledge that I've accumulated and move it forward? And it brings us then to the Six of Cups. It brings us to looking at the hurts and pains of the past, seeing them for what they are, seeing them as disappointments, seeing them as angers, seeing them as new ways forward, and looking at the past and saying, you don't have that hold on me anymore. The Six of Cups can also be nostalgia. Things were better when. But the past always has with it an element of pain because it can never be recreated the exact same way, no matter how hard we try. We've lost people along the way. We've changed who we are just through living. Life moves forward. And here it's coming to an acceptance of that. But it's also coming to an acceptance of the negativity, the curses that were spoken over us as we were growing, as we were becoming. And seeing that it's not necessarily our burden to bear, to have to make everything right and perfect, to have to prove people wrong, that wouldn't care even if we did, even if we gave them the most beautiful way to see us, they wouldn't change their opinion. Here with the Six of Cups, it's like we're walking away from the past finally to embrace a prosperity in the present. The Ten of Pentacles, this wealth, this bounty, comes forward because we start to celebrate. And we stand before the altar of our existence. We call forward the power of our mind, the power of, our perceptions of self and what we desire and what we want. And it brings us to the Ten of Pentacles. It brings us to wealth that lasts for generations. It doesn't mean that it has to be an inheritance, right? What it means is that there's a certain way that we are holding ourselves. There's a certain wisdom that we are endowing to others that come after us, that, that get to be a different part of this world. And we're endowing them with this wisdom, with this prosperity in such a beautiful way. And it doesn't mean that we have to have children. It means that we are, connecting with this world in a way that is powerful and beautiful and brilliant and true. And the Ten of Pentacles brings us wealth. It brings us wealth through watching, through learning, through looking at what it is, the gifts that we have, the gifts that are a part of us, and saying, this isn't, just, I don't get to poo-poo this anymore. This isn't just normal. There is something extraordinary to me. And it's not in that egotistical way. It's in that way that, yes, I understand that there are other people just like me in this world. But there is also an extraordinary way that I get to embrace my knowledge, that I get to look at things, and I get to see where I stand within my world, within what I want, within what I desire, within the passion of my creation, within the bounty that I'm putting forward. And I get to embrace something special. And it's not, again, in that way that makes everything all about me. It's in that way that gets to open up the doors, that gets to say there is a courage to me, there is a bounty to me that isn't self-obsessed, but is extraordinarily connected with the creative energy vibration of this world, of what I'm desiring, of the deeper questions that need to be asked, and the doors that are opening. So this becomes extraordinary because this is a time where two sides of a coin get to be seen almost at the exact same time. And we get to war with that. We get to, embrace that hardship, that question, that battle. But we also get to see our truth that comes forward, that steps forward with that knowledge. So let's see what the moon has to say for herself. How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. Okay, we'll see how far this takes us. Fantastic. How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Sagittarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels. And spirit guides, angels. And spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. And show me clearly, angels. And spirit guides, angels. And spirit guides. Fantastic. So we have the masculine coming forward. Self-love and resilience. The path opens, conclusions are within reach. Bring love to the situation. That's that Venus energy coming forward again. The energy is gaining momentum. A personal issue reaches resolution. And then we have the full moon in Sagittarius coming. So we have Sagittarius energy being quite strong here from the moon. And it says, look at the bigger picture as we take aim. So the masculine comes forward. This is a time of action. We can see that with the magician, because the magician is that sacred masculine energy, again, saying claim, be seen, move forward. Don't let people push you around. The masculine energy comes forward with this moon, reflecting the light of Aries, reflecting the warrior, and making us more feisty, okay? Making us stand up for what we desire, what we want, what we need, what we're looking for. It brings us to self-love. It brings us to falling in love with ourselves. It brings us to that Venus energy coming forward once again and saying, I'm here to guide you. You are going to be guided through love. We are guided through love, through compassion, through understanding, but also through this stubborn determination that's extraordinary. And we're not really going to know how to handle it all, how to balance it all at first, but we're going to find that as we figure it out, as we embrace the patient connection with divinity, with our spirit guides, with our angels, doors start to open. We become resilient. We've carried our world tree on our back. We've carried what it is that we most desire to plant within this world. Our resilience has been tested, but we're not going to be hunched over anymore. We're looking at the new path. We're planting that tree. We're embracing the extraordinary. We're rising forward to make the extraordinary part of our ordinary. And it becomes the fact, and it embraces the fact that conclusions are within reach. Things become more seeable, more understandable. And it leads us then to bringing love into the situation. Again, that Venus energy coming forward as we stand before the altar of our existence, as we claim our power, we bring our hearts, our souls, our passion into it. It leads us to the energy gains momentum. Now, the energy gaining momentum also leads us to be a bit vulnerable because we're putting so much of what we desire most into this time. So we can feel hypersensitive, but we can also feel hyper-determined, okay? So we're going to kind of like flip-flop like a fish back and forth from these ideas. And it leads us then to a personal issue reaching resolution. It leads us to conclusions coming forward. It leads us to insights guiding us. It leads us to, being able to work things out that before used to just trip us up because they came from the past. They were part of our coping mechanisms for life and for understanding and for gaining this reason. And we look at the big picture. We look at the big picture and we take aim. We look at the big picture and we claim our truth. We claim our wealth. We claim what we desire most. And it's like, this is what I'm going for. I'm not getting caught up in the minutia. I'm not getting caught up in the petty differences and the petty arguments. I'm claiming something extraordinary because this world becomes my extraordinary. Ooh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. Okay. So the subconscious Luna message is extremes, which is exactly what we're facing during this time. We're facing powerful and intense extremes. It leads us then to adjustments are required to handle these extremes, for us to call forward our energy, our power, our understanding. We need to adjust the way that we're looking at things. We need to adjust the way that we are seeing ourselves and what we want. Our subconscious chakra message is communication, the throat chakra. We need to communicate with others, but also we need to listen to that communication that we have with spirit, with what we desire from life, with what we wish for, what we love. We're communicating here to our very hearts, and spirit is going to be guiding us more and more. But we're also going to find ourselves instinctually knowing things. And people are going to be like, well, how did you know that? How did you see that? And it's like, I don't know, I just did. So be prepared and really focus on opening up that throat chakra to let the ideas come through. Because with the throat chakra opened and with the third eye really embracing, new ways of seeing things, clarity within our lives, within what we want, there comes a sense of greater desires, okay, greater ways of putting things into words. We can also find that we're a bit of wordsmiths during this time, which is really beautiful. Our subconscious spirit message is evolve. Yeah, evolve. So we start to evolve. We start to transform. We start to become what we have dreamed of, what we have longed for. And it becomes exciting. We start to get our wings. We start to see ourselves flying instead of just kind of creeping along like that little caterpillar. And then we embrace the stars. So this is Aquarius energy time frame, January 20th to February 18th. But we start to embrace what we desire most. We start to see our wishes come true. We start to see ourselves moving forward. We start to see that spirit is answering what our soul has longed for in a way that we don't anticipate, in a way that we hadn't expected for ourselves. The stars start to be our guide. We might even find ourselves looking up at the night sky more and more, being inspired by the beauty, the starkness, but also the brilliance that is there. The fact that, we're calling upon an energy and a power that is breathtaking. And the fact that we're being guided, it's kind of like that guiding star, starts to lead us towards our dreams, towards our hopes, towards our desires, towards what it is that we truly want and need. So that becomes brilliant, and that becomes a very powerful subconscious for us. It's just like our subconscious is at this time very much a guiding light. Oh, that's exciting. Okay. All right, Sagittarius. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we reach for the stars, quite literally and quite profoundly. Okay, so take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Sagittarius, and may you have a blessed moon.